stand under trees, visit ponds, wells, even deserted houses in the village, especially after dark. I'm sure your grandmothers would have told you the same. Yes? But I never paid heed to it. In a small village at the edge of the village called Sringarapatnam in Tamil Nadu in southern India, there was this huge tamarind tree. Pudiyamaram, as they call it in Tamil, my mother tongue. The village people used to go past it to go to the fields or to collect firewood from the forest. The tamarind tree, the Pudiyamaram, with sinister glee, hosted the not-so-living, the gone and beyond. Pei, Pishashi, Chatan, Kuti Chatan, Shaitan, Chudail, Dayan, Pretatma. The tamarind tree, the Pudiyamaram. The Sringarapatnam tamarind tree had a pei. Now you'll ask, what is a pei? Pei is an evil spirit. That is an enmity with gods. And they can harm humans by inflicting some diseases on them or creating spiritual harm. The Sringarapatnam pei, his name was Vishu, he could enter human bodies and do as he pleased with them. Having said that, he was quite peaceful and calm. He used to swing from one branch of the tree to the other and having fun with a lone traveler by just creating drama by making a stick chase after him or throwing his belongings up in the air or just lifting the traveler and dropping them somewhere, thereby terrorizing the traveler. But the villagers never ventured near the tamarind tree after dark. Though he was a silly prankster, a pei was a pei, a ghost. Everything changed one day. It was the day he saw this buxom beauty, Alamelu. Alamelu glided like a swan, and her dark eyes sparkled at the beauty of her surroundings. She was fit and strong, a dusky beauty with big dark eyes, chiseled nose, and a lithe figure. The village boys stopped their conversation mid-sentence when they saw Alamelu sashaying past them. Their hearts skipped a beat. But Alamelu was totally unaware of her beauty and the effect it had on others. She lived alone in Sringarapatnam. Her only sister had got married and lived in a village a little far by. And her parents had passed. But she was fearless. She roamed the village streets even after dark. Her well-wishers told her not to do so or do it with somebody together and never go unaccompanied. She was a free bird. She never, listened to them. And she worked in the fields, so she used to cross this tamarind tree almost every day. On that day, the sky was orange. It was nearing dusk. And Alamelu was walking towards the field. She had forgotten her tiffin box. She had left it there and she was going to collect it back. And her pile sounded on the forlorn streets. Vishu the pei was hanging upside down on the tree and he heard the gentle tinkling of the anklets. And his eyes fell on this beauty who was walking down the path. He whooshed down the tree and he went towards her. Then he stopped. How can I fall in love with a girl? And how can I possess her if I loved her so? And he went back to his perch. Alamelu went her way. But then Vishu could not forget her. He pined for her. He just wanted to have another glimpse. He wanted to see her. He wanted to be with her. And he kept pondering and wondering how he can be with her. Then he heard the familiar chun, chun, chun. He whooshed down the tree and hovered around it. The street was desolate. It was a moonless night. The street lights, already dim, started flickering. Everything became silent and still. Alamelu was unaware of all this, and she was humming a tune and gaily walking back. Suddenly, she felt a brush of cold, frosty wind go past her. Her skin burst in goosebumps, and a chill ran down her spine, and she was uncomfortable. She looked around. There was no one in sight. She started walking a little faster. And then she felt the cold fingers caress her gently, and a hoarse whisper in her ear, "Ah, what beauty!" This spooked her. She quickened her pace, started running, and rushed back home. She went home, shut the door, and that night she was very disturbed. She latched her door and switched on all the lights in the house and went to sleep. The next morning, she woke up to the aroma of freshly brewed filter coffee. She yawned and she stretched. She was such a beauty, wasn't she? She opened her eyes and then she realized that something strange. Her house was swept clean and everything was in its place and absolutely spick and span. She was surprised. She got up and went to the kitchen, and on the kitchen table there was this tumbler of piping hot coffee. She thought it's her sister. Akka, Akka? And she went to the other room and searched. Akka? No, she couldn't see her. It's Friday, an auspicious day. Maybe Akka has gone to the temple before I woke up. So she quickly had a bath and dressed and got out into the forlorn streets of the village. She walked towards the temple and she felt the same frosty breeze brush past her. She was stunned out of her wits. That's when she noticed the footprints. The footprints that were besides her. And as she walked a few steps ahead, the footprints followed. And she felt the fingers again, this time caressing her hand gently, and it slithered down and entwined itself with her fingers. Who are you? And what do you want? Alamelu, I am the bee Vishu, and I'm in love with you. I can't be without you. Alamelu felt a jolt, and Vishu disappeared. And then Vishu's voice came out. Alamelu, I am residing in your body. Please don't go to the temple. I can't stand these gods. Huh? What good is it? You residing in my body? No. Get out, get out, get out. The villagers call me possessed, and no. And my family will come and hit neem leaves on me, and they'll take me to the exorcist. No, please get out right away. And she started walking towards the temple. Alamelu, I can do you a lot of favors. Huh? You're a pay. What favors can you do to me? Alamelu, I can see to it that you never fall sick, not even a headache. And I will do all your work. I will carry all your load. And when you're reaping grain, I will reap all the grain twice as much in half the time. And if any scoundrel of the village teases you or misbehaves with you, I will finish him. Alamelu gave it a thought. She felt it sounded good. She said, okay, I'll not go to the temple. And she started getting used to Vishu residing in her body. First, she loved the attention that he gave her. And she finished all her work. He finished all her work very quickly. But the most of all, she loved his company. Alamelu had changed. As she walked, there was no shadow. And she did the work of 5 men in half the time. And her appetite had increased. She had a huge appetite now, and she started eating food that she never used to like before, especially sweet jaggery paniyarams. People around her started getting suspicious. They told her sister, and the sister promptly searched for a bridegroom for her. The groom was none other than Muthu. Muthu lived in the same village with his mother Meenakshi. Now, Muthu was overjoyed because he was marrying the village beauty. And he had heard that she does the work of 5 men. It served him well. He need not hire as many hands in the field. So he was very happy. But Vishu, the pay, was not at all happy. He had a lot of conversations with Alamelu. But Alamelu said, see Vishu, now you have to leave me, because now I'll get married and my husband will want to go to the temple and pray. And then I'll have to light lamp, incense and camphor in the house. You can't be inside me now. No, you have to go. Vishu was really getting fed up with all these arguments. Finally, he got very angry and he said, okay, I will leave you under one condition. You will have to give the life of someone from your family, or else I will take your husband's life. Alamelu became very sad. Vishu, how can you say that? I have no parents and I have only one sister. How can I give her up? And for the first time, I am having someone to call my own husband, and you want to take his life. How can you do that, Vishu? Think of something else, please. Now, the pay loved her, and he gave in to her pleas. But he was a pay. Okay, I will agree to leave you alone if you will get me paniyarams that I love the most. Of course, after you. Every new moon night, you get me 7 paniyarams to the tamarind tree, and you have to spend time with me over there for 1 whole year. And it has to be a secret. Nobody in the village can know about it. Alamelu felt, this is a good proposition. She said, okay, and agreed immediately. She would get to lead a normal life and she'll get rid of the pay. And Vishu left her. Alamelu got married to Muthu and they started living their life. And every new moon night, Alamelu carried 7 paniyarams to the tamarind tree. Without anybody knowing. This went on for months. And on the 8th month, as she was going out of the house, Meenakshi, her mother-in-law, saw her sneaking out. And she followed Alamelu. She saw Alamelu going behind the tamarind tree. So she hid over there and listened. Alamelu was talking to someone. You'd like the paniyarams, Vishu? Yes. Is it nice? Okay. I really miss you. Yeah. I know I miss all our conversations. I'll come and meet you every time. And that's it. This is all she needed to hear. Meenakshi went straight back home and woke up Muthu. And she said, Muthu, your Alamelu is cheating on you. And she talked all about Alamelu's midnight jaunts. Muthu was livid. He felt terribly cheated. So he plotted a plan with his mother. Next night, as Alamelu was sleeping, they hit her on the head and rolled her in the blanket that she was sleeping, carried her to the outskirts of the village. And they started digging a pit. By the time Alamelu had regained her consciousness, but she realized that something terrible was happening to her. And she overheard. This girl, evil girl, has been timing us. How horrible. And she's been cheating you. Yes, mother, let's do away with her. And I think the pit is big enough. Let's go and get some firewood so that we can just burn her. No trace at all. And she heard the footsteps go away. Alamelu wriggled out of the blanket and climbed out of the pit. And she looked around. Luckily, she found a long log of wood. She rolled it in the blanket and put it inside the pit. And she quickly climbed up a tree and hid there. Muthu and his mother came back, laid the firewood and lit a light. And they watched it all burn till it got into ashes. Alamelu was aghast. She just waited for them to leave. She climbed down the tree and went straight to the tamarind tree. She spoke to Vishu. She spent the night under the tamarind tree. Next morning, she went home and knocked on the door. Meenakshi opened the door and she was stunned looking at Alamelu. Alamelu just pushed her aside with a smile and went straight to Muthu. And a big argument ensued. And Alamelu was threatening him. How dare you not trust me? You better do that or else. And Meenakshi came and pushed Alamelu and said, or else what, you Pishache? At that very moment, all the doors and the windows of the house started shuddering. And a cold gust of wind blew into the house. And it swirled like a tornado in front of Meenakshi and lifted her off her feet. And it carried her and tossed her like a leaf. All over. It just went up. Muthu stood stunned. He couldn't do anything. He tried screaming, but no voice would come out. The only sound was of the wind and Meenakshi's blood-curdling screams and Alamelu laughing. And just as suddenly as the wind had started, it stopped. And Meenakshi came and stood in front of Muthu. Her feet were good 1 feet above the ground. She was levitated. Her eyes were bloodshot and terror-struck. Muthu couldn't do anything. She was pleading for help, but Muthu was unable to move a muscle. And Meenakshi screamed as her head started to turn. turned 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, and the scream continued. And suddenly it stopped. 180 degrees. Meenakshi fell limp. Muthu ran and picked her up. But Meenakshi was dead, and her neck turned at a weird angle. He looked up at Alamelu, and Alamelu laughed. Now go and burn her the way you burned me last night. And dare you tell anybody in the village about it. And you better come back. That was enough. There was nothing more to be told. Muthu silently went about the last rites of his mother. He went out and returned after an hour. And as he crossed the threshold of his house, filled with terror, not knowing what to expect, as he crossed it, the same frosty wind went past him, accosted him. He felt a jolt, and he crossed over. Alamelu turned coyly at him, smiled at him. Come, come Muthu, let's start our life afresh. This is a folk tale adapted from a book called Where Are You Going, You Monkeys? A collection of folk tales from Tamil Nadu. Written by K.I. Rajanarayanan. And my dear friends, did you know my other name is Alamelu? Thank you.
Thank you.